What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Speaking Sessions podcast. I'm Philip Sessions, your public speaking and presentation coach. And today I wanted to talk to you about a question that I got on a sales conversation earlier. And I figured it'd be a great thing for you to understand about, and what I think not only I, as a speaking coach, should do in coaching calls, but something that I do, but also should happen with any coach. And that is how we facilitate a call. And how the question was actually presented was, how do I help facilitate my coaching calls in order to help this person reach their goals? And so, first and foremost, any kind of coaching call I have, any client that I have, I want to make sure that they feel comfortable. Because most clients that work with me are going to be ones that lack a little bit of confidence either in themselves, how they deliver their message, or the fact that they don't think they have a message that's worth sharing. And so there's this confidence that has to be built up in some way, shape, or form. And so I want to make sure that you are comfortable when we have that conversation, because coaching is not an easy thing. Because coaching is not about just teaching you, but it's also about guiding you and helping you understand how to do things better. And so when you're teaching how to do something better, that also means you have to say what you're not doing well. And that can be a difficult thing. For instance, if my wife is cooking and she just does really terrible and she almost burns down the house, I can't say, "Oh my gosh, you almost burned down the house. What are you doing? Are you an idiot?" I can't talk to her like that, because, well, I'd probably be a single guy if that was the case. And my cooking may not be much better than hers at the end of the day. So how can I judge her when my cooking may not be as good either? And by the way, she has not done that. She has given me food poisoning one time, and that was really my fault because she did ask me to double check the meatloaf. Long story short, don't get food poisoning. It sucks. But if I go about telling my wife that she's just a terrible cook and how could she do this? How could she not worry about myself and our daughter and our dog and just burn down the house? Like, what is she doing? And just ridicule her the whole time. One, that's a terrible way to talk to somebody. And then two, how is that going to build her up for her to go try again? So as a coach, you have to go about it tactfully when you are giving that criticism, which really goes into the second point. So I have to make sure this environment is safe for you. It's an environment that you feel comfortable in, but then I have to deliver things in a tactful way, which really goes back to the comfortable environment, but in a way that you will continue to learn and grow. Because if I tell my wife that she sucks at cooking, she's not going to want to cook anymore. And if I tell her that over and over and over again, eventually now I've got to cook. And when it comes to coaching, I can't do it for you. I can't help you speak. Yes, I can get you better, but at the end of the day, I cannot speak on your behalf. I can only help guide you to become a better speaker. So my job is to make you aware of the things that you aren't doing well and the things that you need to do in order to do well. And I have to help bridge that gap to get you to where you start doing well. And that comes down to assessing where you're at and giving constructive criticism, being kind with the words that I use in order to let you know the things that you're not doing right. And then also giving you examples to help you understand what it is that you can do to do better and give you those tools. So I do that as well. And then the third thing, I always focus on the strategy, because at the end of the day, I've seen so many successful, really, business owners, not necessarily speakers, but because they're great business owners and they have so much knowledge, they end up becoming great speakers because they give such great knowledge, but they're not the best speaker. So my job as a speaking and presentation coach is not to 100% make you a polished speaker, to make you sound the best, to never use an or ah again, to never have long, awkward pauses. My job as a speaking coach is to help you be able to speak strategically and in a way that's clear and concise, that people will take action based upon the information that you have given them through that speech or that presentation. So I always focus on the strategy, and we reverse engineer. Where are we trying to go with this presentation? Where are we trying to go with this speech? Who is this audience that we're speaking with? We need to know this big picture of who we're talking to and what we want to deliver to them. And then we can reverse engineer and figure out what stories are going to be best to help them make a decision, to give them the data that is needed to entice them and create the emotional buy-in that is needed for them to feel convicted to do what it is that you want them to do at the end of this, because you're speaking and you're presenting because you want them to take action on something. And it's not always buying your product or service, but it's about getting that buy-in from them in some way, shape, or form. So we need to look at that strategy, and I really focus in on that strategy. And then once we get that in place and we get the stories in place, then we'll go back and figure out how to do strategic pauses. We'll figure out how to make sure you get rid of some of those ums and ahs. We'll work on that voice fluctuation and make sure that you are speaking in a way that you're not just this robot that just sits still and you have one voice. We want to make sure that you are speaking with a lively manner. Here I am. You're not really seeing much of it, but I'm using my hands. I'm moving my head around because I'm on camera, so I can't move much, but we'll talk about going across stage, and then we'll start working on that. But if your message that you're delivering is not clear and concise, it doesn't matter how great of a speaker you are from a professional, polished perspective, from a technical perspective, nobody's going to listen. Your words, the way you say them, where you're trying to direct your audience, and if you're actually talking to your audience, is so much more important than how you say that and how the delivery goes from a technical perspective. And so those are really the three things that I do. One, I make sure that you are comfortable at all times whenever we are coaching together. Two, I come at it from a tactful manner to make sure that I can teach you the skills that you need and help you understand the things that you are lacking and that you're not doing well on, and get you to where you want to go that will help you become better at speaking. And number three, I always think with strategy in mind. I always look at the end goal. Where are we trying to go with this speech, this presentation? And we reverse engineer that. And then we finally add in those technical skills to make you a more polished speaker. And so that's how I facilitate every one of my coaching calls. And if that's something that's interesting to you, if you are interested in learning more about my group or one-on-one coaching, leave me a comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or send me a DM on any social media platform. I'd be happy to have that conversation with you today.